Hello, I'm Kamal Santamaria. This is Counting the Cost on Al Jazeera, your weekly look at the world of business and economics. This week, who's stealing Nigeria's oil? Africa's richest economy faces its worst oil crisis in years as criminal gangs make off with billions in stolen crude. We find out how they launder their money and who's buying their stolen oil. Also this week, Iraq, a new government in place, but can it take back territory lost to Islamic State? And is it, and its Kurdish neighbours in the north, well armed enough to do the job? We'll show you who gets what arms and hardware and from where. And cutting through the technology hype as smartphones and online games become the must-have items. Oil. It drives people to all sorts of lengths, doesn't it? And as you'll see this week in Nigeria, theft is the big issue right now, which is no small matter for a country which gets almost 2/3 of its revenue from the oil industry. Nigeria's always been dogged by claims of oil-related corruption and transparency issues and environmental damage, but theft of oil is taking it to another level, and a level where a lot of control is lost. Look at this. Nigeria was producing 2.25 million barrels of oil per day, but around 400,000 barrels of those are stolen. That means the government lost $8 billion in revenue last year, and worse yet, the independent think tank Chatham House believes money's even being laundered through international banks. The whole process is as fascinating as it is troubling. Stolen oil on-sold to Asia and Latin America and the US, with dirty profits for the criminals and, some would say, corrupt figures within government and industry. But it all starts with the theft. Raoirage with this special report now as she joins the Nigerian task force trying to turn off the taps.
Setting off at the break of dawn, these men are on a mission in the Niger Delta, part of a force drawn from various security agencies and civilians tasked with curbing oil theft. An hour into their patrol in southern Ijaw, they arrest suspects and order them to reveal the location of their illegal business. They make their way from the open creek into the thick mangrove. They strike gold. This is where stolen crude is refined. They destroy the site and set it on fire. We have to move back. It's a dangerous business. Explosions could happen at any moment, and the fire can extend miles over the water. Within seconds, the area is engulfed in darkness.
This is where they are doing their bunkering. Now, as you can see, that everywhere is smoking. Burning their camps, they have surrendered safely.
Despite these efforts, oil theft in Nigeria is at its highest levels in 5 years, since the government gave amnesty to former rebels in the area. The government says $8 billion in revenue were lost to industrial-scale theft last year, and multinational oil giants have started reducing their onshore presence here, selling off fields as a result of the theft. Tucked in the forest, we find these men cooking oil, as it's called here. Their site had been destroyed before, but they came back.
There is nothing we do for a living. This is our only source of wealth that we do and eat. Without this thing, we can't survive.
On a good day, these workers at one end of a vast organized crime chain can make $200. The oil pipelines crisscross their community. The poverty of those living around the source of Nigeria's wealth is bare to see.
The majority of the stolen crude does not get refined here in the Niger Delta. Larger bunkering operations involve transferring the crude to barges. The barges then take it to larger tankers in the Atlantic Ocean, and from there to buyers in West Africa, Europe, Latin America, and as far as Asia.
Activists monitoring the industry say connected individuals and security personnel are involved.
Those who ought to have protected the pipelines, those who ought to have helped the Nigerian economy are now participants in the subject matter. High-placed politicians at Abuja, at the local end, are participating in the business.
Despite low-level arrests, there have been no serious large-scale prosecutions. Until those at the helm of this illegal trade are held to account, Nigeria's riches will keep burning away.
Well, there are not many people better placed to talk about the economic impact of all this than our next guest. In Abuja is Mutiu Sunmonu, who is the chairman of Shell Nigeria. Mr. Sunmonu, thank you so much for your time. Shell has been in Nigeria, I believe, for around 40 years. For how much of that time has oil theft been a problem?
Well, I think the whole issue of crude oil theft, I must say, is a national tragedy. It is a problem that has been with us for quite a while, actually. I'm sure this is a problem that has been with us for more than a decade. And so it has been there for such a long time, even before this present administration came to power.
So tell me then how you respond to, well, we've got reports from places like Chatham House and just wider accusations that people within the industry can actually benefit from all this, that there is such a level of corruption that industry players can benefit from what you described in your last answer as a national tragedy.
I think that is not true. I think this is really a lack of understanding of the modalities of operations. Let me state clearly, as an industry leader, we benefit more by putting our oil in the pipeline and getting them to customers rather than spilling it. So I do not see any logic that the industry is benefiting from crude oil theft at all. If anything, this is something that causes us a lot of pain because we, on our part, have had to introduce a number of operational measures to curtail this. Every day, we do helicopter overflights just to make sure we can quickly identify where crude oil theft is taking place or about to take place. We are spending huge amount of money on surveillance. We are exploring all sorts of technology options to make crude oil theft a harder business.
Okay, so if you're doing all those things and taking all those precautions that you tell us about, the things like the helicopter overflights to try to find out what's going wrong, why is it all still happening? Where's the breakdown that's allowing this to go on?
Well, I must say, I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, so we must not underestimate the resolve of the perpetrators of this act too. So we need to understand that this is not going to be a quick fix at all because of the huge amount of money that is at stake. And I think if we are able to get a good handle on the enforcement of law and order, if we are able to get a good handle on youth employment in the Delta, and we can promote a lot of education about the negative effect of crude oil theft, then we'll be getting close to a reasonable position, in my view. But it is going to be quite a long haul.
So we've very much been talking about the problems at one end here, and that is the theft of the oil. The other problem is that this oil, which is stolen, gets on-sold. Can you tell us more of that? Because I'm trying to understand here how, or I guess who would really buy this dirty oil, which they know isn't legitimate, and is there a way to stop the process at that end, I guess, the on-selling of it?
Well, certainly we do believe that the reason the question of crude oil theft continues to be with us is because there is still a market out there. I have always maintained that the greater proportion of the oil that is stolen actually is being stolen in overseas market. And we believe that technologies do exist to be able to trace stolen oil, but you can't just base your solution on technology alone. What is even far more important is international collaboration across boundaries. Collaboration by governments setting up a monitoring team and enforcing the protocol for checking the DNA, as it were, of oil in the refinery to be able to identify what is stolen. So this is going to be a very huge undertaking, and it will require significant political will by international government.
And just on a final brief note, Mr. Sunmonwe, do you feel that you're getting that political will? Do you feel that the authorities in Nigeria, in Africa, are responding enough and understanding that this is a big deal?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I can tell you that I have been at least 2 different fora, which was actually chaired by Mr. President, again, listening to stakeholders on how to fight crude oil theft. What is actually required is continuity and stepping it up again to ensure that it can become a much more difficult business for crude oil thieves.
Mutiu Sunmonwe, the chair of Shell in Nigeria, we thank you so much for joining us.